so I'm not into the whole black crowd thing. I don't know what's going on in the black music. People always say, oh, you act white because you're listening to country music or something. I mean, I like the beat.
And he says, our song is a slam and scream door, sneaking out late, tapping on your window.
Yes, I have been called an Oreo.
Yes, I have been called an Oreo before.
Yeah, I have been called an Oreo.
Yes, I have been called an Oreo by my black friends and my white friends.
Have I ever been called an Oreo? Several times. I went to a predominantly white school since I was 5, and I graduated there. And it was definitely different going from school and then going back home and going to after-school activities where most of the kids around me were black, and they would say things like, oh, you talk funny, you enunciate your words, and that's just like not what we do. And they would always tell me, oh, you're such an Oreo, you're such a white girl.
Yes, I've been called an Oreo many times in my life. I've even been called a coconut, okay, because they said I wasn't dark enough to be an Oreo. That's just rude, okay? In middle school, I was told I was not black enough many times, and people told me I acted white. It hurt my self-esteem. So I would sit in the sun and try to be a darker shade so the kids would accept me for being black. My little sister is darker in complexion than me and my older sister, so people treat us differently, and they would say we weren't black enough, and they accepted her for being black. It didn't sit well with me.
Being an Oreo, what does that even mean?
Maybe just not having like an attitude like that stereotypical like black girl attitude that people tend to think that all black girls have.
Acting too white to be fully black, but then clearly not being white.
I remember another black student saying, oh, well, you know, guys will like girls like Camille as opposed to girls like me. And it was like, well, what does that mean? Girls like Camille meaning I'm, you know, outgoing, meaning I'm, like, what exactly does that mean? Why is there such a difference between you and I? And if there is a difference, it has nothing to do with skin color.
Has society created a new subgroup for black women who do not fit the stereotypes of their skin color?
I do not agree with half the stereotypes, and I do not even fit in half the stereotypes. Like, you know, black people eating chicken. I'm a vegetarian.
Because if so, that's whack.
So one time, one of my friends was spending the night at my house, and she's African American too. She's about my age. And she got a phone call from one of her other friends who's a white guy about our age as well. And I never met him, but he seemed like a nice guy. So she gave me the phone to talk to him for a little while just to say hello. So I started talking to him, and then all of a sudden he asked me if I was white. And so I said, no, I'm not white. And then he asked me if I was Hispanic, and I was like, no, I'm not Hispanic. And then he asked me if I was Asian. I'm like, no, I'm not Asian, I'm black. And he paused for a little while, and then he said, oh, you's one of those proper black bitches.
Yeah, I have I've been in similar situations. It's just so frustrating to me that everyone, white, black, Asian, whatever, everybody has this perspective on black people that you're supposed to, you know, unless you're wearing your pants, you know, down your ass and you can't speak in proper sentences, you are not black. And it's just outrageous to me. And, you know, it's crazy that someone would say that to you and think that that's acceptable, but I'm constantly correcting people. Like, I am constantly telling people, my friends even, my friends say dumb stuff all the time. It's like people don't realize how little comments can affect you. I just started wearing my hair naturally, which has been a very big transition, and I always had it straight. And so that used to be a big point of tension with me and other black girls in terms of me acting white, because I straightened my hair and I was trying to look like a white girl, and there's a lot of association with hair and what that means.
What would you say to people who said you're trying to act white because of your hairstyle and color?
If someone was telling me that I was acting white because I dye my hair and because my hair is naturally wavy, I think I would take offense to that, just because the reason why I dye my hair is because I get bored with the color of my hair. I'm not trying to be more white by dyeing it a different color that's unnatural to my own.
Nearly 25% of young black women polled said that they believe criticized celebrities such as Halle Berry and Tyra Banks are not good representations of black women.
I think it really kind of depends. I remember having a conversation with one of my teachers in high school about the media and how they portray black women in the media. And unless it's coming from like Tyler Perry or one of those kind of movies, black films, I think most of the black women are portrayed more as European, with like the long weave, and they have the lighter toned skin and things of that sort. So I don't think it's portraying, they're real good representations of black women. I think they're like one type of black woman. I think that a lot of black women think that Halle Berry or Tyra Banks aren't good representations of black women, mostly because probably their skin tone's lighter. They do associate with people of the white community, like if they have white boyfriends or white best friends or something. I don't think that that is really a reason because I haven't heard of them saying anything derogatory towards like darker skinned women or anything like that. And I think that especially Tyra Banks like puts an emphasis on accepting all different skin tones and all different hair textures.
I do think that there are some hypocritical behaviors within the black female community regarding race and stereotypes in society, just because I feel that some black women criticize other black women for not dating inside of their race, or for not having their hair a certain way, or for acting a certain way. And I think it's sad, but I think it happens. It happens all the time.
We're all a little guilty for different stereotypes that have kind of been perpetuated throughout the years. Like yesterday when I came home from work with Popeyes, I was like, oh, are people on the train judging me for acting too black? So I think it's a hard thing not to buy into when it's when we're being bombarded with those images every day.
Although it's not totally gone, and there's still the stereotypical nature of putting people into groups, it's always going to be there, I think. If it's not a race group, it's going to be some kind of group that's going to form, because that's the way human nature is.
Do I think societal stereotypes are diminishing? I think in this country we have made a lot of progress in reducing the amount of stereotyping. For instance, in the past, discrimination has been very overt and it's been built into institutions of power. I do think that more voices are present trying to really show people that individuals are more than stereotypes, that we are nuanced people that have different personalities and different experiences. I think in some instances today, those ideas and those expectations of people are not as overt, which makes them a little bit harder to fight against, because the idea is still there and it's undermining individuals and their ability and just them being themselves, but it's more invisible.
I just feel like I act like myself.
I don't really think that I can be classified as either black or white, because I am mixed, I'm white, Jamaican, and black.
I would not say that I act a race or color. I just act myself. I am who I am. I try to act intelligent, or be intelligent, not just act.
I am proud of who I am, and I don't think that I act or try to portray anything different than who I am. I don't act white, I act like Cristal Victoria James. I don't act black, I act like Cristal Victoria James.
I know I was being judged in one society for being black, or one society for acting like I was white or whatnot, but it didn't really matter over time. I was just Jada. I was an educated black woman who does well in school and respects herself.
I would say I act myself, just because if I try to classify myself into one of the other category. It's just I'm limiting who I am, and there's nothing like one specific category to like put me into. Like I guess I act black, I act white, I act Asian, like I'm just me. I'm just weird.